We're talking about the Brexit right now, which is Britain's exit from the EU, European Union. Trump is likening this event to his political campaign in the sense that if the American people go with Donald Trump, then it's going to be like the British going with their own homegrown politicians, more nationalized, isolationist, in that sense of politics just focusing on the sovereignty of their nation. Basically, it's like the egg within the egg, because Britain is Great Britain. It's already a union of sovereign states. So, I mean, how far can you split hairs? The British, or Britain, United Kingdom, different overlapping names for generally the same thing, is already composed of England. It's composed of Scotland. It's composed of Wales. It's composed of Northern Ireland, because the rest of Ireland, this part here, most of the south, is not Great Britain. So it's Northern Ireland, it's Wales, there's a few other parts to it, but those are regions. For example, England has various different regions. Peak District, Lake District, Exmoor, Dartmoor. So, in the sense that these are very strong, localized, cultural, historical states in themselves, the United Kingdom is already, it's a union. It's its own empire. It used to be Britannia, Rule Britannia, the British Empire. But by joining with the EU, it became closer in a legal way and a political way with the continent. Because as you know, the United Kingdom, the Great Britain, is the British Isles. They're off the coast. Okay, so this is a little geography lesson that we have to start out with, because it's all about where things are, where the people are. Basically, see the countries that are involved with the EU, and Switzerland over here, between France and Italy, up in the mountains, is its own thing. It's neutral. It's an interesting map. They call it the Evil Federated Empire of Europe. The EU joined the continent. Here it shows ethnic groups. Do they want to be in, or do they want to be out? So, what's happened is that, according to Nigel Farage, they've done a great thing. He's always been for breaking away from the EU. The European Union, he says, is dying. Okay, what does that mean? What does it mean? He is claiming that Sweden is going to leave. Even Sweden. And he's claiming Netherlands, Denmark. I think he said Denmark. he's claiming Italy will leave. So if all these states are going to be leaving, then the European Union will be much smaller and it will probably fail. So this is the first sign that it's possibly going to fail. This is kind of a big step in that direction. But I want to mention something that I found out just by looking at the numbers of the vote. This is a people's referendum. It wasn't a landslide victory. It was pretty much equally divided. And I want to bring up this just as something related. Jo Cox is an MP, member of Parliament, who was, you could say, assassinated around this issue of Brexit, leaving the European Union. This is a relatively young politician, a member of the Labour Party, for this section, Batley and Spen. I don't know exactly where that is. She was out in public. She was going to something. It's called a constituency surgery. I don't know what that is. This is something that's scheduled, a regular thing that she had been going to. But on the way to attending this constituency event, she was attacked by an assailant. It's a man, 52-year-old, with a knife and a firearm. Now, I'm reading this on, you could see, Wikipedia, but I don't exactly believe all this. Why I'm mentioning it is because I've heard other talk, rumors, conspiracy theories, that it was a false flag. And, when you bring that up, there's a lot of people have the wrong impression of what a false flag is. They don't even know the meaning of it or the definition. So they're going by a connotation. It's a very loaded connotation. False flag is not the fact that it's a hoax. False flag versus hoax is a huge difference. Okay? It doesn't mean it's a hoax. It could mean that people are killed. It could mean that. It doesn't mean that it's a fake staged event, something that is just with actors and nobody dies. Like, falsifying an event. A false flag is a real event, but they're flying a false flag. They're going to set up somebody or pin the blame on their opponents. The origin of false flag is that when everything was sailing on the high seas, there was no air force, and a lot of the military and fighting was going on out in the oceans. One of the ships would raise a false flag. In other words, you would raise the flag of your opponent, and then you would attack one of your own ships, so that it would give the false appearance that your enemy had attacked you. And this is primarily because, in a devious way, you rally your own people to defense. You kind of jumpstart a war by using a false flag. So, you gotta understand human nature and the evil and the dishonesty, or otherwise you cannot even understand false flag. So, the reason why Jo Cox MP assassination was a false flag could have been because the people that wanted to stay in the EU, all of them circulating around David Cameron and those figures in Westminster, and the ruling elite, they wanted to paint a picture of the opposition as being dangerous, terroristic, far right-wing extremists. So they either had a sleeper agent, which is like a cell, like a terrorist cell, in this guy. He could have been hypnotized, MK Ultra, whatever kind of programming that they did, and then set him off against Jo Cox. So then they seize on it and say, hey, look at what these people do, the ones that are for Brexit. But what I want to say about the numbers, let's get back to that. It was not a sweeping landslide. So this tells you that it's almost equally divided. And a lot of people are not going to like this. Oh, Bob Geldof? Bob Geldof is for staying in the EU. Okay. This is one of the Alex Jones team. A member, a resident over there. Talking about the same thing. Now this is dated almost a couple weeks ago. What's going to happen, because a lot of the people didn't support this. They were voting to remain in the EU. They did not support what the others want to do for leaving the EU. But because they got more than half of the vote, I think they got something like 52%. That tells me that it's equally divided. So it's like it's not a huge majority. What I'm saying is that they're going to try to change the government and change a lot of the things that they're doing. They want to go more towards sovereignty. That's the appearance of it. So what is causing all this? What is causing the EU to dissolve apart? And remember something about prophecy. A lot of the Christian evangelists and people who study like the book of Revelations and the different books that they're still trying to say it's predicting the future. Remember the vision of the beast with the many heads and the many crowns and the heads that have horns, multiple horns. The beast and the dragon and all these different symbols in the apocalyptic books were being interpreted as the European Union. Now, I remember the number was 10. So if you count these here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 20. So there's like way more than 20 members that joined the European Union. And of course they don't let Russia in. They don't let Turkey in. But here's the other question now that we've looked to the east. How is this going to affect NATO? How is this going to affect the European Union's relation with the United States? That's a huge question, because the military side of everything is obviously the most volatile. I mean, the grassroots level, the economic, and that they're complaining that the EU was hurting their lifestyle and they could not make a